Mr. D, why does it say on the internet you have a criminal record?
Indie pilots have always been touted as a way for creators to make their mark and money without studio help. However, what happens when someone sacrifices everything for something that perhaps wasn't meant to be? Meet Super Planet Dolan, a channel that invested it all into an anime pilot that didn't turn out as expected. Hello, I'm Ryan, and we're going to be talking about the tumultuous history behind the show, as well as the future for his channel. Oh, also I interviewed him, so that makes me talking about this way easier. If you want to see the full history of Super Planet Dolan, you should go watch my video about his missing voice actor. Okay, I'll give you like a lowdown for this video. Right, Bear? SPD was created August 29, 2015. It's an offshoot of Planet Dolan, which is an offshoot of Danger Dolan. And on this channel, they focus on life's most burning questions. With two hosts, Dolan and someone else, they answer stuff from their audience in humorous yet informative ways.
The cat can't land on its feet, and toast never lands butted side down. The cat will float in midair. Go ahead. Try it.
And it was majorly successful, landing them a book deal, music videos, and even a kart racing game for the phones. However, November 29, 2020 will be the last video on their channel. For nearly 2 years, they're working on a secret project. Okay, not that secret, because they did talk about it on Twitter, vaguely. While the channel was profitable and people loved the animations, Dolan wanted to try something new and more ambitious. His own animated series. Not with the Dolan characters, but something entirely new. Originally conceived as a 6 to 7 episode show, Destruna was originally going to be released on YouTube, with the pilots originally being written in 2018. From start to finish, it took about 6 years to create. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, we need to slow down. Starting off with the animation, it is 3D. Something they're not used to animating with. For the style, they wanted to emulate 2D with this, and worked on the models for months. So for his team of people, it took a bit to find everyone he needed. Opting to have an in-house studio that oversees animators, he created Studio Destruna, an animation company for the show of the same name. In order to find animators, he set up a job listing on Zeek, Australia's Craigslist, as well as sending emails to animation colleges for graduating students.
And then as for hiring the actual 3D production team, I sent out emails to some of the 3D schools just to inquire about, like, you know, are there any graduates that might be looking for work? And when I got in contact with one of the schools, which was AIE here in Australia, the coordinators were like really on board with what I was doing. They wanted to meet up with me and have a chat about it. And they already had like a list of names that they could recommend. So I set up like group interviews with all of them and had a chat with them, and then slowly picked out the ones that I thought would be pretty good fits for this. But even so, because they were graduates, you know, they just finished learning. They're still learning. So we found that after a few months, what we really needed was someone to help direct, like a technical director, because I didn't have like much knowledge in 3D, and my supervisor was mainly in 2D. We brought on someone that was recommended from the school who could help supervise the 3D production stuff, and that really helped out a lot so that we weren't wasting manpower on certain aspects of developing the show.
He found 3D very fascinating, as you're able to reuse a lot, such as backgrounds, characters, and models, which makes it easier for some aspects of animation. Though this of course takes a lot of back-end work to really make it look nice. But don't think that I'm saying that 3D animation is easier. That's not what I'm saying at all. They originally wanted a majority of the show animated mocap, however the animators didn't really like working with it, so only select shots use Microsoft Azure's Connect with Dolan and friends in the suits. This was actually suggested by their friends Glitch Productions, whom also made a video about. Alright, there's gonna be like a lot of videos I recommend watching after this one, so put your drawing pen tablet down and just like pay attention, okay? Pay attention to this video that you're watching. Thanks. Circling back, an in-house studio is very important to Dolan. It's way easier just to walk up to someone's desk than to like schedule a call with them.
We what happened was after we got the technical director on and we finished doing blockouts for the 3D, I found that the animation was going to be the most time consuming part. This was like one of the parts where I had to make a decision if I wanted to, do I want to keep developing the show knowing that it's going to be much more expensive and much more time consuming than I initially thought, purely for the animation, because we chose to do the art style of we went with something that like looks really nice, but the problem with that is that it takes a lot of time to do that, where instead of doing like multiple shots in a day, you can only do like 1 or 2 with an animator, and we had like over 400 shots to do, so we needed like a lot more hands-on, and that required more full-time animators. Like there were not enough in Australia that we could find, so we had to pull from overseas to get them to help out. So, and then of course we had extra help with like 3D environment stuff, and yeah, eventually we had quite a few people from overseas, but the bulk of our main team was here in Australia.
It was going pretty smoothly, then COVID happened immediately. You see, this was being animated around 2020, and his country had the worst lockdowns known to man, meaning he had to switch back and forth between studio and online work. However, an upside is when he had to work with overseas animators, as due to the COVID lockdowns, he had an easier time understanding how to, well, manage a team over calls. Well, obviously he would hire animators overseas for Super Planet Dolan, but this is a larger scale. Also, this is not a Kickstarter project, something that the Odd Ones Out talked to him about at VidCon.
Well, I just don't think we would have had the support to be able to do that at the time. We hadn't really proven that we could do something like this, so it's a bit of an ask, and especially because it's a different IP than what we were already known for. Maybe if we did a Planet Dolan thing, we would have had enough support to do something maybe on the cheaper side, maybe like a short animation. Potentially, we could have done that where we did maybe a 5-minute animation of like really high quality, and then use that as like proof that we could do something of a higher caliber like Destruna. But the thing is, I could afford to be able to do Destruna, like fund Destruna on my own anyway. So I figure instead of going through the hassle of setting up like fan funding and going down that route, it'd be better just to set up the team and just start creating the show right away.
During production, the team would switch gears from an animated online series to pitching a pilot to studios. I mean, rather than a season of 7 episodes, they'd be making one really good one and use it to pitch. But the issue with that is that most pitches don't include animated full pilot, rather having a small animation or animatic for the pitch bible.
When we decided to pivot from doing it as a YouTube series to pitching it, we'd already set up the team, and I had to make the decision when I saw how long the animation was going to take. Like, do we just like stop here? Because we've already got the animatic done. Do we just stop here, save ourselves a lot of money and headache, just pull out and not even bother? Or do we keep going and finish off the pilot at the very least? Obviously, in hindsight, I think what you're supposed to do with this kind of pitch is you make like a really intensely good like 5 minutes that looks amazing, and you can use that as a pitch. You could do a storyboard if you wanted, but it's all about impressing the people you're pitching to with the best possible thing you can make. And especially because we hadn't had any experience before this, apart from with Planet Dolan, it was very important for us to put the best foot forward if we were going to be pitching. So that's also why we decided to get on like celebrity voice actors as well. That's why we decided to get on well-known like sound designers and musicians and licensed music as well. We would have not done like a lot of this stuff if we put it on YouTube. We attached all of this stuff. It actually wasn't too expensive to get all of this stuff. It was just we attached it to, if we get approval, these are the names we would be attaching to it. We did all that so that we are putting our best foot forward.
Destruna, a pilot episode about a fantasy world where technology has advanced far beyond smartphones. Young Don's world is shattered when his mother figure, Gekka, the founder of mixed reality technology, suddenly disappears. So, he enters a dangerous gladiatorial tournament to win the ultimate smart glasses, capable of showing the user the one thing they desire most.
They would pitch to numerous studios such as Netflix Australia, Netflix US. Those are 2 different places. Cartoon Network, Paramount Plus, and even Crunchyroll. For Netflix Australia, they seemed interested, but they got no response. For Crunchyroll, they felt burned by High Guardian Spice and how their audience reacted. So they said, no colorful shows for now, okay? I actually made a video interviewing someone on the team and have actual insight to what happened with the show. Go check it out after this video. As for Netflix US, it was a bit more interesting. That company said it was the most impressive pitch they've ever seen, but wasn't what they were looking for. At that time, they were looking for specific age ranges. Think of demographics like Avatar: The Last Airbender and Rick and Morty, so nothing in between. Don't say they would have been fine editing it, but there was some trouble with that.
Any little things that platforms might have a problem with are things that easily we could fix. Like, we have a really quick production pipeline. It's just that we just can't afford to keep going. Like we can't afford to keep paying people if we don't have any external funding by that point. Could fix this stuff, or we could do like a whole new kind of pitch, taking on board their feedback, but we just don't have the time. And so even though they were like, oh yeah, just go ahead and pitch again, I'm like, well, that's not going to happen because we're going to wrap up. We're done. Like these guys have to find other jobs now because like we just can't get going. So yeah, it was a shame, but we just didn't have the luxury to be able to change any kind of pitch. Like it was like one go, see what happens. Didn't get approval. Well, that's it then. Yeah.
That's like wild to think about. Like you have the show, you pitch it, and they're like, oh, we want to make some changes, and you're like, well, do that. And they're like, no, you got to pitch again. I'm like, what? I'm already here. On that note, funding was another issue. With Kickstarter out of the picture and then not producing videos, they sought grants from the country, pitching to Screen Australia, Think Victoria, now called Vic Screen, and even COVID grants to help support their business, each having their own hurdles when funding. Though the animation studio behind Next Gen as well as Maya and the 3 were interested in helping out, but then the studio stopped existing. Oh, okay. So while they were working with studios, Dolan pitched another series called Lorgies. This would be a spin-off series from the main show and would be for YouTube only. Pitching it to Screen Australia while they were close to funding, it again production wasn't what they were looking for.
They gave me a call and they said, look, they had like a few shows that were funding at the moment. This one came very close, but they just couldn't. I think they said because they said the main reason was because the main character was like this teacher log that was kind of like tired and just kind of over it. You know, it was like a tired teacher who's teaching these crazy zooming logis, like zooming all over the place, and they would rather have like a different type of main character. And I was like, okay, well, like fair enough. You know, that is something I could easily change. It's just that going through that whole approval process would take too long, and like we're probably going to wrap up production here anyway because like we can't afford to keep going.
If it's not obvious, I suppose I should tell you that animation takes a lot of time and money. You know, the people they hired, the office they rented, the voice actors, even the music, all has to come from somewhere, and someone. So trying to repitch that line would be difficult if they either don't have enough money, or perhaps the people moved on. On the note of composing, they got Frederick Weidman, Dragonfruit's fame, to do the music. Cool. However, if expenses adding up during development, this caused Dolan to sell his house as a way to help fund the show. And so if every studio turning him down, it's a difficult thing to think about what to do right now. 2 years after they stopped posting, they returned to YouTube with the pilots, and they posted it. Surely if the pilot released, they made enough money, they can now make the show, right? No, that wasn't the case. Upon release, the pilot would get over 120,000 views and some fanfare. A few days later, Dolan released a video talking about production behind the show. An important thing I talk about with creators who want to make their own show is profitability and longevity. While indie animation is a great alternative to industry work, you're at the mercy of the potential audience. If your pilot doesn't hit out of the ballpark the first time, getting people to show up for the second episode, let alone the rest of the series, is very difficult. Pointing towards Monkey Wrench, they showed how much they made from their first animation. While it reached over 1.5 million views, it earned about 4,500 USD, and they would release the first 2 episodes of the show on their dedicated channel, with significantly lower views than the original releases. For the creator Zuriel, he's independently funding this, and is still working on the next episode. Zuriel would even make Twitter posts about this sort of situation for any projects.
I don't know how I can stress this enough, but indie animation needs your near-constant support, especially the small guys. This isn't like indie games where you make up the cost of development once it's complete, as people have to buy it to experience it. With animation, you just sit and watch it. That's it. 9 times out of 10, you will never make back the cost of an indie show unless you happen to be super lucky. So far, there has been 5 or 6 successful indie shows, 4 of which are from the same 2 creators/indie studios.
So after doing the pitches with all these platforms, it was like, well, I mean, who else are we supposed to send this to or pitch this to? You know, we could send it, like I had a list of festivals I could give it to, potentially doing like talks at different places about either the technology behind Destruna or just like the creation process. I did do talks at like AIE to for like the students there and talked about the process. Yeah, just don't really know what to do next with it. Like right now, I'm gonna be real with you. You know, it was so expensive to be able to just even do Destruna that I'm more worried about just like what's going on right now with inflation, recession, and being able to afford, you know, just rent. Because like I had a house, but I had to sold that because of the show. So now I'm renting, and just to be able to afford rent and just to be able to get by is like my primary concern at the moment. I would love to be able to do Destruna. I think that's where I'd be the most useful in making a show like that. But the reality is, you know, we gave it our absolute darndest best shot. But yeah, I don't know. I like genuinely just don't know what to do with the show at this point.
For independent work, production costs, the profit to audience retention means a lot when it comes to creating a show. And so in creating it, you have to see if you can financially handle working on it, or make it as a passion project that you work along the years. Or you can be like Glitch Productions. For SMG4, they have a main channel where they constantly post, which helps fund their other channel, Glitch Productions. And on that channel, they test out pilots. If it garners enough view and fanfares, they'll make it a full series. The newest pilots would be The Amazing Digital Circus. And thus far, it earned over 11 million views? 4 days? Okay, hopefully that one gets a series, you know, please. Oh, I actually interviewed the creator Gooseworks 2 years ago on my channel. And if you want me to interview her about her new show, like and subscribe and leave a comment saying, interview Gooseworks again. Does that work? So Destruna released, what is Dolan doing now? Did he leave YouTube forever, never to come back again? Never making one more animation? Going off into the sunsets and waving goodbye? What? No, he's making animations again on Super Planet Dolan. The return of the channel marked a change with the series. They included season 1, the show of 104 episodes, began to have a story with lore. Actually, let's hold on a second. Let's really think about that number. 104 episodes of an animated series on YouTube. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Anyway, as of the channel being gone for so long, a lot of voice actors moved on, and now he has a permanent new co-host, Darlink.
My name is Darlink. Your friends put me in charge of watching over your ungrateful butt while you were sleeping.
They did?
You overslept, Mr. D. for a long, long time.
The second season starts off with her welcoming Dolan into the near future, and they go in search of the older host to see what happened to them. What's interesting about this change is that the newer audience is used to Darlink compared to the other voice actors. It is much in the case of the Fairly Odd Parents. While older fans complain their hearts out about a children's cartoon featuring new characters, kids watching it today are just kinda used to seeing them. So when watching older episodes without them, it's discombobulating without their dynamic. And Dolan has seen this on TikTok with Darlink.
From what I've seen, is interesting because like here on YouTube, everyone's obsessed with Shima and where she went and everything. But on TikTok, they're all obsessed with Darlink as a character. That's really interesting to me. So it's something that I think about YouTube. It's like, well, it'd be nice to have these people kind of import over to YouTube as well to check out the content, but it doesn't seem to work like that. You know, some of them will check it out, even when I say specifically in the video like, hey, go and check out YouTube. It's like I think some of them do, but yeah.
And you probably have noticed, unlike Destruna, this is 2D animated. I mean, like, I hope you would have noticed, but yeah, it's 2D animated. Rather than having a specific style, Dolan lets the animators have a lot of leeway, and he would give them rough style guides to keep them at least on model for the characters. Though like making Destruna, the channel has a lot of the same issues, that being longevity and profitability. Dolan himself is not an animator, meaning he has to rely on the work of other artists that do a bulk of the work. In between the standard Q&As and lore videos, the latter require a lot more work, both on the writing and planning side. And so with that, Dolan would try another series on his channel called Truth, which would just feature his character as a host.
This is like me as a creative writer just wanting to just write some nonsense. So when I set up the series, it was like, okay, what if it was like the history of a thing, and it starts kind of like it sounds pretty legit, but then it turns into a bunch of nonsense, like a bunch of baloney by the end, but it still sounds like almost believable. So it's like as you go on, you start to feel like, wait, this doesn't sound right, and then by the end it's just gone pretty silly. So I did those, and I really enjoyed writing them. And unfortunately, despite Sonic's reputation, he simply isn't fast enough here. He is mercilessly crunched by the car's rear seats. This came to be known as C-Day, the C standing for car.
The hard thing about testing a new show is whether or not the audience will like it. With these taking so much time to prepare, both on the writing and animation side, if it doesn't get the views, he has to try something else. Case in point for this one heist is an animated skit video between him and Darlink. While having the same characters, the video didn't have the same fanfare, though there can be a lot of causes. You know, the title, the thumbnail, the release, all these things. But for now, it seems his audience prefers the mainline series, both Q&A and lore-based.
People are there for specific types of content on the channel, and if you try and experiment stuff, you'll have limited success there. I would love to do more of that stuff, and in fact I just did something called Swan Heist, which is almost like a story time thing, and I really enjoyed writing that one, and the animation looks phenomenal, but again, like the same kind of issue. Yeah, like just because I want to do that stuff doesn't necessarily mean I can. The frustrating thing with anim though, it takes months and months for the anim to be done, and so therefore if I'm writing something and I want to put it out there, see what people think, I write them, and then 3 months later I find out if people actually want it, right? So I'll be like really into doing a certain type of series, and then it's like, well, I got to pull back and not write anymore because I don't know if people are gonna watch this. It's rough doing it like that, but I mean, I don't really have a choice. Like I really want to get into the writing. Like I have lots of ideas, and then I just can't do them, because I just got to be cautious. Yeah.
Circling back to what I said about SMG4, to have a meat and potatoes thing is very important for a YouTuber, as it can lessen the financial burden and keep fans happy with what you make. That or just having a second channel in general to try something new. That's what I do with my animated show, Salt is JJ. Ooh-wee, we're moving. And so with the content that Dolan produces, there can be some long wait times. Especially if you're a viewer wanting to see the mainline series and see something else, you might get disinterested in the channel as a whole. Or perhaps not check it as frequently as you once did. But does this mean this is the end of the channel or anything similar to that? No? Are you stupid? Have you not been paying attention to this video? When it comes to artists, there really isn't the end, but rather the and. My video over Shen Comics talked about a long-standing artist creating a new comic. My video over Hellbenders talks about two creators' works before their breakout shows, Smiling Friends and Only Plays respectively. And even my video about Max Gilardi talked about what it means to create on a platform like YouTube. With all the failures, there's also successes, and you see what works along the way. Even if one thing didn't work, like Truth or this one heist, it doesn't mean there won't be opportunities in the future to Try again. I even asked my audience what they thought about Super Planet Dolan. No Life Guy 1531 said,
I would say it's a new twist on the channel, that either someone likes it or not, they're in for a wonderful ride that paves the road for new ideas, and that they still carry the charm they once had.
Valentina Ames said,
It's nice seeing Dolan again, but it feels so weird and jarring how there was tons of characters, but now there's basically no one besides Dolan. It's a bit odd, and it feels a tad bit lonely.
and lastly, Cedar Paw Animation said,
The other narrators are missing!
for Dolan, he is on the path to greater success with the return of his channel. Going back to creating regular content and working on something more really got his creative juices flowing, as his mainline series still keeps his fans engaged.
I think moving forward, instead of trying to aim for like a video every 2 weeks when I have absolutely no control over whether or not an animator is going to hand me something, I would like to treat animations like it's like when I get it in, it's like a bonus, you know. It's not necessarily the meat and potatoes of the channel. I would like for something else to be meat and potatoes. The thing I'm working on right now for the future, I'm hoping would be a kind of meat and potatoes, but I don't think it would work on this channel specifically because it is like a little bit different. It's both similar but also different. I'll be figuring that stuff out, and I do have I am tying it into the story of where the channel is going as well, but about like what my plans are next. Yeah, I'm trying to keep a lot of stuff that's surprise for the audience, because like even on the Discord that I set up for the channel, I got like a theories channel. People are like speculating about what happens next, and I drop hints in like almost every video about what's going on. I'm trying to keep certain things a surprise. I even have like a mystery character in my channel banner that, you know, people have been speculating for months now.
It's inspiring seeing after many hardships, creators like him can still find a way to move forward and keep making what they love. Even if it takes a bit of time and patience, pursuing this dream is a tough yet rewarding journey. If a video doesn't do well, you can always change the title, change the thumbnail, or just make a new one. While Destruna wasn't meant to be, he doesn't regret making it and is proud to have something to show off. With him having the full rights, perhaps another time will arrive when it comes to making Destruna. As of today, Season 2 of Planet Dolan is going on a great path, and I'm excited to see what's next for him and his team.
I would say come back and feel free to experiment with anything you want. Try all kinds of different formats, because YouTube just changes all the time. What's popular one minute isn't popular next, and there's always stuff to research and try your own spin on, and just, you know, build out your channel that way. If you're talking about channels that had big audiences and then they drifted away and then they're coming back, first off, I would do a lot of research on everything that's out there, because yeah, it has changed a lot, and then figure out what the core of what your old subscribers were there for, and figure out what you want to make next, and see if it's compatible, because you may be better off just starting a new channel if it's fairly different, or if you have a different direction you want to go in, or whatever, and reconnect with the audience as well. That's pretty important. That's one of the reasons why I set up a Discord server, and, you know, me and the crew interact with the audience there. I give hints at like upcoming episodes and let people speculate and stuff. When you've had like such a long break, people just don't know if you're gonna end up drifting away again. So yeah, and of course just have fun with it, and I'll make all kinds of different content and see what you're interested in doing. Yeah.
Shout out to Valentine BVA for voicing the video, as well as Danger Dolan himself for letting me interview him. Thank you. Also follow me on everything. Until next time, keep on drawing, and don't forget to have fantastic.